welcome to the Renaissance English History Podcast, Tudor Minute, your mostly daily dose of all things related to medieval and Renaissance English history. So today I'm going to talk for a minute about Henry VIII and religion. So we all know that Henry VIII broke away from Rome so he could get a divorce, and he started the Protestant Reformation in England, right? Not so much for sure. So Henry VIII did in fact break away from Rome. It was a long process because he wanted an annulment from Catherine of Aragon, which really wasn't all that unusual. I'm just keeping checking to make sure my daughter's sitting there. Anyway, really wasn't that unusual for monarchs at the time, for nobles, for anybody really, to be able to claim an annulment. And Henry VIII thought it made sense because he didn't have a male heir with Catherine. He needed a male heir. But the problem was that the Pope was kind of being held captive by Catherine's nephew. So it kind of got really messy. So the Pope was like, no, you can't get a divorce. Henry's like, yes, screw you. Like, I want a divorce. And eventually it got to the point, it took years and years and years, almost a decade, where Henry was like totally in love with Anne Boleyn. The Pope's not going to give him a divorce. And he finally just says, that's it. Like, the Pope doesn't even have jurisdiction over England. Like, I'm the king in England. What's the Pope doing telling me I can't get a divorce, right? And so he breaks away and the Pope excommunicates him. It's a big mess. The thing that's really interesting is Henry actually never really broke away from the Catholic faith. As much as Anne Boleyn was a Protestant, Henry was never really down with the Protestants. And in fact, all the way until the very end of his reign, you could be burned as a heretic if you denied the true presence of Christ in the communion, which was a really kind of big thing. Transubstantiation is what it was called. And if you denied that the bread and the wine was really literally Christ's body and blood, you were a heretic for that. And that, of course, is what the Protestants believed. And it was a big tenet of the Protestant Reformation, was that it's bread and it's wine. It's a representation, but it's not actually literally a miracle of Christ's body and blood. But for the Catholics, like, it's a really big thing. And so Henry like stuck with that forever. And he had a little place where he thought, okay, let's have the Bible in English. And then he went back on that and said, nah, we're not going to do that. So all the way through, Henry remained firmly Catholic in his beliefs, but he just wanted to be the head of the church. He didn't want the Pope to be the boss of him. And so that was really kind of it's one of the things that makes the history of the Anglican Church so interesting, is that it started off without necessarily the monarch really believing in what the tenets were of Protestantism, but with the monarch just basically wanting to give the middle finger to the Pope, which he was successful in doing, I suppose. And then, of course, it got complicated later on because his son, Edward, had been raised really Protestant, really believed in that stuff. And then his daughter, Mary, who was Catherine of Aragon's daughter as well, she was raised totally Catholic. So when she became queen, England went back to being Catholic, and she burned all the Protestants, not all of them, a couple hundred. And so anyway, the point being, Henry broke away from Rome mostly because he just didn't want Rome telling him what to do. And he also wanted to get the land. The church was the biggest landowner in England at the time. And there was a lot of money, a lot of wealth, and he wanted to have his hands on that. It wasn't that he believed in the Protestant Reformation so very much. It was just that he didn't want the Pope to be in charge of him. So that's your Tudor Minute for the day. To learn more about the Renaissance English History Podcast, you can go to www.englandcast.com, ENGLANDCAST, englandcast.com, or facebook.com/englandcast. Thanks so much. Have a great day.